From the 2-0 win against Manchester United. Well, we'll just leave that there because we are about to get underway at the Etihad Stadium for what looks like a potential home banker between Manchester City and Everton. City are looking to get back up to second place in the Premier League table with a victory. Of course, West Ham are now in that position at the moment, and they'll certainly be in a very expectant mood against Everton, who are winless in their last 5 games. But already very early on, Everton are coming forward quickly with Demarai Gray, who takes the ball on the edge of the area. There's an early chance for Anthony Gordon, who unleashes a strike, but it's blocked at source by João Cancelo, and Phil Foden will come back and mop up. So an early attack there for Rafa Benitez's side. Of course, whenever things go wrong, there will be big questions asked of Benitez. There was a very unhappy fan base when he took over during the summer as Manchester City come forward themselves. Now Raheem Sterling is brought down by Luca Digne. It's going to be a free kick, and in the first minute of the game it's been a very rapid start. Myself, Dan McCarthy and Paul Szczerbakowicz taking you through this contest. We were just saying off air that we both thought this was going to be a very easy win for Manchester City, but looks like it's going to be quite an open game.
Well, I think that from Everton's point of view, they don't want to make it too open, because if you do that against Manchester City, things can really go wrong for you. But at the same time, it has to be said that from Everton's point of view, if they just sit back and encourage Man City to attack them, then there aren't going to be goals. So I think from Rafa Benitez's side, they've got to try and start on the front foot, but giving away a free kick like they just did there gives City a great chance very, very early on.
Go through the two lineups in a moment, but this free kick is about to be taken on the near side. Manchester City all in blue, going from left to right, and it's going to be Gundogan. No, it's actually Foden who leaves it, and it's whipped into the box. I think it was Rodri that may have got a touch there, and it looks as though it has gone behind for a goal kick. So the two lineups in full then. Manchester City have got Ederson in goal. It's a back four of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Aymeric Laporte returning from suspension, and João Cancelo at left back. The midfield three is Rodri, Ilkay Gundogan, who is today's captain, and Cole Palmer, who gets a first Premier League start. A front three of Raheem Sterling getting a rare opportunity these days to start in the Manchester City lineup. Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden. No orthodox centre forward. It actually looks as though Palmer might be playing that centre forward role today, but City so fluid they probably will change that throughout. Everton go with Jordan Pickford in goal. A back four of Seamus Coleman, Ben Godfrey, Michael Keane and Luca Digne. Anthony Gordon, Fabian Delph, Allen and Demarai Gray across the midfield, with Andros Townsend just in behind the lone frontman Richarlison. City have just settled down now somewhat as they play the ball around the back line. It's with Aymeric Laporte now across to John Stones, who's getting reacquainted with some old friends of his to Everton. Made the move 5 years ago now from Goodison to the Etihad, and he had a wonderful year last season. Not quite got going so far this campaign, but that's down to the riches that Guardiola has available to him in almost every position in this squad. It's Laporte coming forward now. Everton just backing off slightly. They know they don't want to be engaging in a pure battle of the press, because they probably won't come out on top. They've just got to be disciplined throughout this contest and try and frustrate Manchester City as much as possible. 3.5 minutes in, it's Manchester City 0, Everton 0. The first of two games coming up on this service this afternoon. Tottenham against Leeds, that game kicking off at 4:30. Here is Laporte now, who sweeps it across to the far side. It's Foden who keeps it in. He's given the ball away though, and Everton playing in their change strip of an all black kit, but it's got a red sash down the shirt. As Pickford clears it, it comes off Cole Palmer. Big opportunity for him. He's profiteering really from the fact that Kevin De Bruyne can't play this afternoon because he has been diagnosed with COVID-19. But Phil Foden we've seen come through the academy ranks, and given the fact that he's been involved fairly heavily in the City squad, even though he's not necessarily played that many minutes, it shows that Pep Guardiola's got faith in him.
He does. He is trying to get Palmer. Palmer initially was more of a sort of Carabao Cup player, wasn't he? He seemed to get a few starts and a few appearances off the bench there. But this is a great chance for him here this afternoon against an Everton side that are probably going to be sitting back for long periods. So it should give Palmer a lot of time on the ball.
Here is Bernardo Silva, took that down from the air expertly. Now with Sterling playing on the right-hand side. Sterling tries to get away from Digne, who makes the challenge, but Sterling wins the throw-in instead. He picked up an injury on France duty during the international break, Luca Digne, but he's fit and available to play. No Jack Grealish in the City squad, by the way. He's nursing an injury. That's very poor, that from Kyle Walker, who just allows the ball to roll underneath his foot. Everton will get themselves a throw-in. So City, not quite depleted. You're looking at their lineup, and they've still got a very strong bench to call upon, the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Riyad Mahrez, Fernandinho, if they want to stiffen things up in midfield. But it's fair to say that they will miss the presence of De Bruyne in midfield, as Rodri picks the ball up inside the centre circle now, just pirouettes in there before playing it back out to Cancelo, who's arguably been Manchester City's star performer this season. João Cancelo, they've really found an option at left back, and he's a right footer playing there, but he doesn't look out of place.
Absolutely. They seem to have been sort of moulding Zinchenko for about 2 or 3 seasons to become the regular left back, and now Cancelo has usurped him. But here comes City now with Bernardo Silva. Yeah, it's Silva, right side of the box, always wants to get it onto his left foot. Everton have got men around him. It's played to Walker, who whips it into the area. It's not really well cleared. It comes to Cancelo, who fires it back into the box, and I think it was Palmer that got the last touch. He couldn't quite react in the nick of time to guide it towards goal. It was just whipped in by Kyle Walker low. It was Gordon who made the clearance. Not the best of clearances, but just talking about Cancelo, that is the benefit of having a right footer playing in that left back position. Absolutely is. He was opening his body up to try and curl that towards the bottom corner, and Palmer only gets a nick on it, really. If he got a bit more of a touch on that, I think he could have redirected it towards goal. Yeah, Cole Palmer, who is an England under-21 international. He scored a wonderful goal. I don't think it was the November break. It was the October one where he twisted and turned and scored from a very narrow angle. So Pep Guardiola expecting big things of him as Rodri plays the ball back towards Aymeric Laporte. Ruben Diaz dropped to the bench today. So John Stones and Laporte, that partnership hasn't been played too much recently because Diaz has been such a fantastic addition to the City backline, but Pep Guardiola feeling like he can rotate his squad against an Everton side who are really struggling for form at the moment. No wins in their last 5 games. The 0-0 draw against Tottenham before the international break was, I suppose, creditable enough against an Antonio Conte side, and he's well known for making his teams very difficult to beat, but it's just been a bit of a strange start to the season, really, for Everton, as City come forward now with Raheem Sterling. He's on the right-hand side. He plays it infield for Walker, who's in a bit of space. Walker went to backheel it towards Sterling, but instead he goes to Bernardo Silva instead. Silva with a crossfield ball. It's now with Cancelo across to Foden on the left-hand side. Foden to Ilkay Gundogan, and Foden collects it back on the far side. Gordon does really well, though, to win the ball back off him, and now he plays a 1-2 with Andros Townsend. Gordon running forward. He just showed a bit too much of it there to Rodri, and Everton, you get the feeling that they need to take advantage of those half opportunities to get forward, because they're going to be few and far between. They are, and it is a shame there for Gordon, because he did well to win that ball off Foden, but then, as you said, just showed too much of it to Rodrigo. Getting a bit of a pattern in this game already, with Everton trying to press as high as they can, but City already enjoying a lot of possession in midfield. Here is Rodri, sweeps the ball out to the far side now for Cancelo. He's up against Seamus Coleman. He plays the cross into the box, but it's Allen who can chest it down and get it clear on the counter-attack. And now with Richarlison, who's peeled across to this near left-hand side. A couple of step-overs there against Stones, but didn't really have much support for him, so couldn't really take it forward too much. It's with Damari Gray now, who was a very cheap signing at £1.7 million in the summer. A few eyebrows raised when he was brought from Bayer Leverkusen, but I think it's safe to say that he's had a pretty good start to his Everton career. Everton right back along their backline now, as Manchester City just look to almost press them by stealth going backwards, but Everton have a throw-in on the far side, just about on the halfway line, as Rafa Benitez sits in his seat already making notes in his notepad about the game so far. Brought into the club to just give Everton a bit of that sort of winning mentality, I suppose, but not many Everton fans were happy with the arrival of him, and
it was a strange summer in many regards of the fact that they virtually spent nothing. He was barely backed at all.
No, it's a strange one when you think that under the current Everton ownership, there was supposed to be a move towards bigger spending. There's all the plans of the new stadium. They're right on the docks as well, and that all looks very, very impressive. But as you say, a couple of budget signings, if we can say that, Damari Gray and Andros Townsend, I think both of them have added a lot to the squad, and that's certainly something in Everton's favour. But as you say, there was an inconsistent start to the season with a couple of wins, a couple of defeats, and they've actually not had a win since the end of September, and they've just looked a little bit forlorn since then, really.
Yeah, they have. They need to try and get back to winning ways as quickly as possible, though this game might not be the game to do it in, as Rodri picks the ball up around about 35 yards out, sweeps it across to Kyle Walker, who's just forced back ever so slightly. Walker still in possession, squares it now for Aymeric Laporte. Most of the Manchester City players in the Everton half. Here is Cancelo now, looks to get away from Anthony Gordon, crosses it in right-footed, but Gordon can make the block. 10.5 minutes gone, Manchester City 0, Everton 0. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Raheem Sterling now with the first chance to get on the gas. Crosses it in towards the back post, and it's nodded just wide by Phil Foden. He had to really readjust his body. He did well, actually, to head the ball that close to the target. It was a really good piece of wing play by Sterling. Gets away from Luca Digne, and it's not a bad cross at all, but it's just drifting behind Foden.
Foden, whether it's Sterling putting the ball a little bit too far behind Foden, or Foden standing perhaps maybe a yard or two in front of where he needs to be, but as you say, he just couldn't quite adjust himself. He did well to at least try to get that on target, but if he had been just a couple of yards behind attacking that cross, I think he would have been able to get a goal from that, because he wasn't marked at all.
Yeah, Phil Foden, who starred for England in their recent demolition jobs of Albania and San Marino. Lots of debate, of course, about whether those games are really worth playing, but they still had to be there to be won. And
well, it's a strange one. It's playing against San Marino, with all due respect, is like playing against an English non-league team, really, isn't it? So how much benefit you get from that as an international, but as you say, that they are fixtures that need to be played with the UEFA Nations League. We've been able to erode away some of those games and make them a bit more exciting, but there's always going to be those qualifiers where you've just got to get the job done. But Foden is making strides. He's becoming a regular at Man City, and he's becoming a regular for England as well.
Yep, they've just got to grin and bear it playing against those minnow oppositions, but Foden, as Paul mentioned, he's very much now a first-team player, not just for Manchester City, but for England, and for a long time it seemed as though he was just floating on the periphery, even though he was looking really good whenever he was called upon, but particularly now with David Silva not being around the place, Foden has almost taken his spot. They've not had to buy a replacement, as Kyle Walker plays the ball across now to Aymeric Laporte. Still the same pattern of the game, Manchester City dominating possession, but just waiting to find that breakthrough. But there's probably no better team in the division at just remaining patient than Manchester City. They know it's going to come, and they've won the ball quite deep inside the Everton half, but Fabian Delph does really well there to challenge and plays the ball back to Pickford, who can lump it forward. It's brought down by his England colleague John Stones, and now with Kyle Walker now back to Stones, who's just going to amble forward, as he does in that really languid style of his that makes him a favourite of Pep Guardiola, the fact that he can play comfortably out from the back. Bernardo Silva picks the ball up on this near side now, back towards Walker. Here is Silva once more, just trying to manufacture a crossing opportunity. It's not come yet. Stones plays it forward now to Cancelo, and now they're going to try the other side with Phil Foden running up against Seamus Coleman. Foden back towards Cancelo. Here is Stones now. Stones forward. It's taken nicely by Gundogan, who tries to reverse it towards Palmer, but it's well intercepted, and now Everton with a counter-attack opportunity. I'm sure there was a foul there, but the referee has decided to play on. It's with Damari Gray now. Gray running down the left-hand side, inside and out of Kyle Walker, and still he's on the ball, twisting and turning, and then he unleashed the strike. It took a block on its way through. It's now over with Gordon on the other side. Gordon plays it back towards Delph, a former Manchester City player, of course, a former Manchester City title winner in his days at the Etihad Stadium. Barely had any football in the last few years due to a plethora of injury problems. Everton forced to play it backwards, and now this is a bit of a problem because after that great twisting and slaloming run from Demarai Gray, he's gone down on the ground and he looked to be feeling his groin, I think.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a groin problem there as Demarai Gray. So although Everton had the chance to put the ball out, but they're playing on here with Townsend trying to get through to the edge of the area. Closed down by Rodrigo. Now the ball is now back in City's possession. The referee hasn't stopped play, so I'm assuming that Gray must have gone up or at least got off the field, and City now pushing forward here with Sterling.
Sterling brought down by Delph in the centre circle. The referee, by the way, is Stuart Atwell as we pass the quarter of an hour stage of this contest. Still goalless. Sterling, who's got a big couple of months ahead of him. Paper talk has very much linked him with a move to Barcelona in January, according to some reports. He's the first choice for the new Barcelona manager Xavi to bring to the club. It would be on a loan basis initially, but potentially that could turn into a permanent move.
Well, it's a difficult one, that, for City, because they have got too many wide forward players, haven't they, really? So at some stage you would feel that one or two of them would be on their way, but Grealish has had problems in getting into the team and keeping his consistency. He's got an injury problem now. De Bruyne has sort of been in and out of the team this season, so actually Sterling's been pretty much a regular starter for City. So it will be interesting to see how that one plays out in January. It's also an interesting time to join Barcelona. On the one hand, you're joining a club that has all that history, but there is a lot of turmoil. That the squad is nowhere near as full as it should be, and it looks like this Demarai Gray injury is a pretty serious one. He's not going to be able to play on.
Yep, walked straight down the tunnel, and Alex Iwobi has come on to replace him, so that's going to be a really big miss for Everton going forward, because we saw fleeting glimpses early on of what a dangerous player he can be on his day. So Iwobi is the chosen one to come off the bench, and Everton really don't have a great number of options on there. They've got Salomon Rondon to call upon. Cenk Tosun, the lesser spotted Cenk Tosun, is on there, but besides that, it's largely a collection of young players that have come through the academy ranks for Everton on there. Rafa Benitez with a thin squad at the moment.
Yeah, there are some big players missing, of course. Mina, Gomez, Ducour, Calvert-Lewin, Holgate. These are players that would all be pushing for a starting 11 place. So it is a threadbare squad from Everton at the moment. But still not really able to get any real possession as City now pushing forward. But it's been a while now since the ball's been anywhere near Pickford's penalty area.
Yeah, they really have missed the presence of Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. He does give them an awful lot, even if he's not necessarily going to be a 20-goal a season goal scorer. City now with the ball on this near side. It's Raheem Sterling, low cross into the area, looking for Palmer, who came in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Here is Stones again. Cross now for Laporte. Cancelo. Wide now to Foden. Gundogan making a move ahead of him. Foden plays it to Cancelo. Rodri now. He's being marshalled by Richarlison. It's with Foden on the far side. They're definitely trying to double mark Phil Foden. Anthony Gordon is getting back, and he's almost like a right back himself, trying to keep up with Seamus Coleman there.
Yeah, I think he needs to. I think the way that Coleman has set up, if he's going to take Foden on his own, but we'll just break off from that because a cross comes in from the right-hand side. Pickford's come out. He had nobody around him, but he still made a bit of a mess of the attempted catch. Just about gets the ball away from his own box. And then eventually I think there's a free kick given in favour of Everton there, although Foden seems to have bore the worst of that one.
Yeah, it was Kyle Walker that played it into the area, and Pickford's just really misjudged that. He drops the ball, and then it's a clash between Anthony Gordon and Phil Foden.
I mean, I'm not even sure if you would say that it is a foul from Foden. I think Foden potentially does trip Gordon a little bit as he's getting away from him, and then Gordon gets his feet tangled with Foden, and actually Foden's come off worse than that in the end.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange one, really. Gordon's back up on his feet now, but he's hobbling quite heavily, so that would be a disaster for Everton if they had to make two changes prior to the half-an-hour mark. Foden did get up, and now he's sat back down on the ground.
There was talk that he might not actually play today, that he may have an injury problem from the international break that means he might not get the start. On a couple of websites, he's still noted as being an injured player for today as well. So I think that it was always touch and go whether he would start, and I just wonder if perhaps this is going to be a problem for him. In terms of the bench for City, they've got Mahrez and they've got Gabriel Jesus, I would say, as the two first replacements if it turns out that Foden can't play.
Yeah, Foden was listed as having a potential leg problem. The physios are putting the magic spray on his leg, and now he's been picked up to his feet. And a bit like Gordon, he's walking quite heavily too. They're probably going to give him 5 minutes and see if he can run it off, because they don't want to lose him as well, because you start losing the likes of Foden, De Bruyne, you do wonder where the potential creativity comes from, and that's just another injury problem that Pep Guardiola would have to contend with. All of that stemmed from a bit of a mistake from Jordan Pickford, who had a very quiet international break. Started against Albania, and then Aaron Ramsdale was chosen to play against San Marino, and he had very little to do against Albania. Did make a couple of good saves in the first half, as Gundogan comes forward now. He's then brought down to the ground. Everton just trying to frustrate Manchester City. They've got past that magic first 20 minutes, if you like, where they've kept the game scoreless. Gundogan there with a good burst from midfield.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that we say about City, that if you can survive the first 15, 20 minutes, then perhaps there is a little bit of a drop-off from what Pep Guardiola's side can do. There was a period, I think, about 2 seasons ago where it was almost set in stone that if they didn't score in the first 15, 20 minutes, they could end up coming unstuck. It's not quite the same now. City do have a lot more patience, as you mentioned earlier, but it is going to be a bit of a worry for Guardiola that Pickford's not really had to make any kind of save so far.
No, he hasn't. It's been very quiet in terms of real goal-mouth action, as City dominate the possession. It's with Stones now. Stones leaves it for Kyle Walker just on the halfway line before he returns the ball back towards John Stones. Makes his way forward from the back. Short square ball now to Kyle Walker. Walker's going to go long this time. Across now towards Foden. Excellent instant control from Foden by the whitewash. Plays it back now to Cancelo. Here is Rodri. Now Walker. Always likes to come infield from right back. Bernardo Silva now picks the ball up. He's got Gordon to contend with. He's got Sterling out wide, but plays it instead to Rodri. It comes back towards Sterling now. Sterling just trying to get round the outside of Digne. As he does so again, it takes a big loop into the air and will go behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, he's out for a corner. Digne that's put under a little bit of pressure. And finally, we're going to see a set piece here from Manchester City to put a bit more pressure on this Everton defence. Not had too much to do inside their own boxes. We see this last bit of control here from Foden. Absolute deft touch. That ball was coming down to him at pace, and he just absolutely killed it with his pretty much with his studs. Yeah,
really good piece of play from Phil Foden. He is such a talent, and he is going to take the corner. And just as we give him that big build-up, well, he's kept in play, but Everton are able to clear it. I thought that corner was going straight out and sailing.
Almost like a commentator's curse there with that one, wasn't it? He put far too much whip on that one. And if of all people, it was João Cancelo coming in trying to get the rebound before it was eventually cleared. So in the end, not too much trouble for Everton with that set piece.
No, there wasn't. It was a bit of a disappointment, really, considering that they've not had many, if any, opportunities to get balls whipped into the area from those set pieces so far. But Pep Guardiola won't be panicking at the moment. There's a reason why City have been so dominant in the last few years in the Premier League. It's because they are the best at remaining patient, and they do grind teams down. Sometimes it can be quite a slow process, as Everton might find out this afternoon. It's over with Foden on the far side. He rolls it back now to Aymeric Laporte, and now John Stones can square the ball to Kyle Walker. Sterling now picks the ball up on this near side, back with Walker. Here is Rodri for John Stones. Everton again in a very deep defensive shape. Rodri lifts the ball forward. It's Digne that can head it clear, but he doesn't head it too far clear. Sterling forward now to Bernardo Silva, who tried to pull it back for Cole Palmer, and then it's cleared by Digne off Palmer and out for an Everton throw-in deep inside their own half. Well, we are at the halfway stage of this first half. It's Manchester City 0, Everton 0, nearly 24 minutes on the clock. It'll be Paul to take us through to half-time.
Thank you very much, Dan. Yeah, it's Digne with the throw now down the left-hand side, still deep inside the Everton half. Throw from Digne over the head of Walker, but it drops straight to John Stones. And that's been the problem for Everton. They have no outlet at all. I'm not even sure that Iwobi's had a touch of the ball since he's come on for Demarai Gray. Richarlison, you can count on your fingers how many times he's touched the ball in this game. It's been a problem for Everton to get anywhere near any kind of attack, really, to put City under pressure. But in the meantime, the home side slowly strolling forward here. Laporte now plays the ball up towards Gundogan. Touches that onto Foden, but that one is picked off by Seamus Coleman, who felt he was impeded. Referee Stuart Atwell says no, we play on. Foden then finds Palmer on the left-hand side. Palmer into the box. Gundogan on his left foot. Strike, charged down by Alan. And now it's Iwobi trying to get the ball away for Everton, but he runs straight into João Cancelo. And Everton didn't really even leave their penalty area, and they're already losing the ball. City coming again now with Foden to Gundogan. Left-hand edge of the penalty area. Gundogan hits the deck. No free kick. It's now with Palmer square to Kyle Walker, and he's forced to go back towards John Stones. But there's still a little bit of pace about what City are doing here as they're pushing forward now down the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva gets the ball into Raheem Sterling. Sterling back to Walker. Under pressure there from Richarlison. And it's for 25, 30 passes there from City. Everton can't get near them.
No, they can't. And whenever they do, they just have to be better with possession. They're giving it away so cheaply. But that's what can happen when you don't have the ball for so long. You almost panic when you do get it, as City come forward again. Cancelo with a low cross, and they're going to get another corner kick.
Yeah, a bit of a complaint there from Ilkay Gundogan. He wanted a free kick at the edge of the area. Referee Stuart Atwell just explaining to him that he played the advantage and City have got the corner. But you can still see Gundogan pointing to the edge of the box as if to say, well, I don't want a corner, I prefer to have the free kick. But it's not quite how it works. It's still a little bit of a grey area, I think, in terms of how long the advantage actually lasts in football. There's always some debate as to how long the referee can actually play before he brings it back for the original foul. But it is a corner kick to City on the left-hand side. It's Gundogan in swinger towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Good strong header away by Michael Keane. It drops to Palmer. Palmer towards Laporte. Left-footed cross goes over the head of Stones. It almost drops to Gundogan, but Iwobi just about dealt with it. It looked for a second like it might bounce over his head. His clearance is very poor, though. It goes straight to Rodrigo. He then finds Sterling, who's got 2 players on his back, having to roll it back to Cancelo. Then it's Foden. Left-hand edge of the penalty area. Cross charged down by Iwobi. Header away by Coleman. But once again, it's that midfield area for Everton. They get the ball into midfield, and they've just got no way of keeping it there.
No, they're really struggling in possession. It's almost as if they don't expect to get the ball. So whenever they do, there's not really that much of an idea of what to do with it. I don't know whether they just need to maybe try and send Richarlison a little bit further up top and just knock the ball over to him, make him do some running, because they are struggling at the minute.
Here's Foden's ball into the box. That's a great chance. It was Sterling that crossed it in for Foden earlier, and Foden couldn't quite get the header right, and now it's role reversal. It seemed like an excellent ball there from Foden, but maybe Sterling just arrived on that one a little bit too soon?
Yeah, perhaps so. It's an absolute cracker of a ball from Phil Foden, and to be honest, with Raheem Sterling, it's not his greatest strength, his aerial ability. The ball is whipped in really quickly. I don't think Manchester City have got too many options up there that would really excel in those kinds of situations, heading the ball in from the 6-yard box. Maybe in years gone by when they had the likes of Edin Dzeko up there, he would have buried that opportunity. But they're knocking on the door now, City.
They are. It's just getting a little bit hot under the collar now for the Everton defence. Although, in fairness, they are still doing well to soak up the pressure. There's not too much happening in front of goal, but that chance there for Sterling. And now Palmer with a great ball into Bernardo Silva. He tries to chip it over the goalkeeper. Then there's a header that comes off the bar from Gundogan. And it's out for a goal kick. But that was very, very close there from City. You've got to credit Pickford because he came out and narrowed the angle very quickly.
Yeah, he came out very quickly indeed and made it much more difficult for Manchester City. It's a lovely pass from Cole Palmer. I thought initially Bernardo Silva may have just strayed offside, but it was Digne that kept him on. And then the follow-up header from Ilkay Gundogan. He's just trying to loop it over Pickford, who didn't quite get back onto his goal line. Got a little bit too much onto it, but I suspect even if it had been on target, there were 2 Everton defenders back on the line, so they probably would have cleared it.
Yeah, but it was certainly a good opportunity for City, and a great ball there from Palmer to split that Everton defence. A long ball now played towards the edge of the City penalty area, but no one in a black and red Everton shirt near that one. So City starts again from the back here with John Stones. Square now to Laporte, over towards Cancelo on the left-hand side. And as we can see, City have had 5 shots to Everton's 2, 270 passes to 72. And they've had 80% possession to Everton's 20, and they've had 200 passes in the opposition half compared to Everton's 24. So certainly a huge advantage in terms of possession on paper, but still 0-0.
Yep, still 0-0. That's the only thing that matters, really. It doesn't matter if Everton come away with no possession. If they can get just a point, that's a real bonus for them, considering the run that they've been on lately, as City look to build again down the left-hand side.
They do, with Foden and Gundogan. Ball now played back towards João Cancelo. Switches play over towards the right-hand side, right onto the foot of Kyle Walker. Excellent pass there from Cancelo. Walker back into Rodrigo now, where Palmer turning at the edge of the area and fires towards goal. Pickford makes the save, but he can't hold on to it. It's now with Sterling, edge of the 6-yard box. He tries to shoot towards goal, and in the end, it's a pretty tame effort there from Sterling. It's almost like he decided that he was only going to be the only one who was going to have a shot there.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Pickford didn't keep hold of that, because it wasn't the firmest of strikes from Cole Palmer. Pickford got across, and I think he may have just been slightly out of position, a little bit too far towards the centre of goal as Palmer unleashed the shot. It bounced a little bit. I suppose we can give Pickford credit for that, and then he reacted quickly himself. But Manchester City beginning to pepper the Everton goal with chances.
They are, as Andros Townsend, hardly seen him on the ball at all, and that's a strong challenge there. Townsend thought he was brought down at the edge of the box. No free kick given. Richarlison then flies in, slides in to try and win the ball back for Everton, and he clatters into Kyle Walker. That's going to be a yellow card, the first booking of the game. Just see, I'm not sure. There might have been a bit of a push there from Rodrigo on Townsend, but there's certainly no doubt that it's a foul from Richarlison. Yeah,
he's a fiery character as Richarlison, and he slides in more out of frustration than anything, because he can count the number of touches he's had, probably on one hand so far. Playing as a lone frontman away at the Etihad, it must be one of the most thankless tasks in football, particularly when Richarlison's not exactly an out-and-out centre-forward who runs the channels and holds the ball up, and he's going to miss the game against Brentford because that's his 5th booking of the season.
Absolutely is. Everton's next game away in West London next Sunday. It's one of the 2 o'clock kickoffs next Sunday, as City now back in possession on the halfway line. Laporte with a beautiful ball over the top for Foden. Flag stays down, he plays it square. The cross comes in, and it's out for a corner with the block from Ben Godfrey. The Everton defenders were looking over towards the linesman. We'll see now from the replay. Now he's level with Digne once again. He's behind the rest of his defenders.
Yeah, Digne not getting up with the rest of his defence. I think Foden perhaps made the wrong decision there, because Sterling was coming in at the back post completely unmarked, but he decided to pull it back instead. I think he should have just fired it across the 6-yard box and potentially given Sterling a tap-in.
Corner kick now to City on the left-hand side. It's a low one this time from Gundogan, chested away by Alan at the edge of the 6-yard box, and then a long thumping clearance there from Alex Iwobi. One for Andros Townsend to chase, but he's up against Edison, who likes to have a little wander out from his box anyway, and the City keeper easily gets there first. It's now with João Cancelo just by the centre circle. 32 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. It is still Manchester City 0, Everton 0, and City in possession with Ilkay Gundogan. Now Rodrigo over towards the right-hand side, finds Bernardo Silva. Silva inside towards Kyle Walker, being closed down by Fabian Delph. But Walker able to get this ball back towards John Stones. Square now to Laporte. You can see that Everton are trying to play quite a high offside line. I mean, City are in possession by the centre circle, but the Everton defence are at least 30 yards away from goal, trying to narrow that space for City to work in, as Iwobi wins the ball back for the visitors, but then Delph, who's surrounded by City players, he loses the ball, no free kick. Sterling gets to the edge of the area, always brought down. The referee is going to give a penalty, and the Everton players are furious. VAR is going to check it, but I did think when the challenge came in there might be a penalty there.
Yeah, it looked a little bit clumsy there. It's good work from Raheem Sterling, who I think's had a very good game so far. He's looked threatening whenever he's come forward. Michael Keane is the guilty man. As we just have a look at the closer replay, it's great play from Sterling, keeps hold of the ball tight. Looking at the challenge, it may have just come right on the edge of the area. It'll be one that VAR has to deliberate over.
I also wonder whether how much of the leg actually makes contact with Sterling there. Is it more a case that Keane's leaned on him and Sterling's fallen? I'm not, from those two replays, I couldn't see how much contact there was with the actual foot. Of course, now we're going to have this long delay whilst VAR check everything, only to then tell Stuart Atwell to go and check it himself anyway. He's right now trying to be a bit of a peacemaker, trying to calm down the Everton defenders. But let's see, first of all, whether or not it was inside the box. See, that angle, I'm not sure. Is that Michael Keane making contact with Sterling, or is that Sterling clattering into Michael Keane there?
Yeah, it's very hard to tell looking at...
I can't see how much contact with Keane's right foot is with Sterling there. I'm not so sure that unless they're going to give it for the arm across, but Sterling's got his arm across on Keane as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the more that I look at this, the less I think it is a penalty. Initially, I thought it was a bit of a stone waller, really. Keane looked as though he brought down Sterling. We'll have a look at the reverse replay. Now, there may have been a tiny little touch from the studs.
Bit inconsiderate from Bernardo Silva really to stand right in the middle of that camera angle, so we can't quite make out the contact, but I'm not sure there is. I think that Keane's right foot comes out. It's close to Sterling's knee, but I'm not sure that he actually makes contact with it.
Yeah, I think this one, in my view, I think this one's going to get overturned. I think so. Stuart Atwell will get told to go look at the decision, and usually that's code for it's going to get overturned.
I think so. Yep, Stuart Atwell is going to go have a look at it. I must say that I can't understand why he couldn't do that straight away and have the officials back at Stockley Park talking to him as he's doing it, rather than spending 2 minutes telling every player on the pitch to calm down, only to then go and have a look at the replay himself anyway. But both myself and Dan think that this may be chalked off now, having both felt it could be a penalty when we saw it live. But the referee will now look at all those camera angles that we've just seen. And hopefully Mr. Atwell can come to a conclusion relatively quickly. That last angle, I think, is the one that most convinces me that it's not a penalty.
Yeah, and even so, it's very borderline whether it's actually outside the box.
No penalty. Says Stuart Atwell. So it took a little while, but we both think he's probably got to the right conclusion in the end. And a couple of the Everton players, Seamus Coleman, the captain there, just clarifying things with the referee. Raheem Sterling now looking a little bit confused by it all. But there really wasn't enough contact there, or any contact at all, really, to suggest that there was a foul. Sterling, no, he hasn't given up the ghost yet, has he?
No, I don't know why players continue to do that. Pep Guardiola's now having a word with Craig Pawson, the fourth official. You know, if anything, some could argue that Sterling might warrant a booking for that, because they could think of it as a dive.
Yeah, I mean, just lip reading what Craig Pawson, our fourth official, was saying, they just kept repeating to Pep Guardiola, it's not a foul, it's not a foul. So I think Guardiola was perhaps thinking that the decision was because the foul might have been just outside the box, but actually it's not a case of that. It's just that there was no infringement at all in the end, and that's what the officials decided. And so it's still goalless then, with around 8 minutes to go until half time. But we're going to get probably 3 or 4 minutes of injury time now after that long VAR delay. Probably the 15th or 20th time that we've seen this replay now. And yeah, I mean, it goes from being, looking at it live, a situation where you thought it was a nailed-on penalty, to actually thinking that perhaps Sterling's taken a bit of a dive.
Yeah, and I suppose that indicates how difficult a job it is to make those decisions in that split second. I thought it was a penalty at first glance, but having looked at the replay a good half a dozen times, it's only then when you can come to a pretty firm conclusion that no, it isn't. So I think the right decision has come about, but Everton will feel like luck's on their side a little bit, because if City had have scored that, the floodgates could have opened.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with not much time to go until half time, if Everton can keep it 0-0 until the end of the first half, that would give them something to try and build on in the second. But here comes City again now down the left with Phil Foden. Gets a ball into the box. Palmer trying to touch that back to Gundogan, but that's cleared away by Ben Godfrey. And then Fabian Delph makes a bit of a mess of that at the edge of the area, loses the ball straight away. Here comes City now down the right-hand side. Sterling back towards Walker. Walker's ball into the box isn't a particularly good one. Alan gets it away. Once again, Delph almost caught in possession. This time he just about recovers to get that ball back to his own penalty area. Long clearance from Pickford now. Doesn't quite reach Richarlison. Alan heads it on, but that doesn't reach Richarlison either. And it's still the same problem for Everton. They've got no way of keeping the ball in midfield.
No, they haven't. The midfield has been quite poor. I don't know if they maybe need to get another body on in the second half if it stays 0-0 as City come forward again.
Here they do with Palmer. He gets into the box, just stopped there by Godfrey and cleared out by Coleman, but he doesn't get too much distance on the clearance, so it's going to be a throw to City close to the penalty area. It's João Cancelo going back towards Rodrigo, back towards João Cancelo. Now it's with Phil Foden. It's Palmer on the overlap. He gets the ball, being closed down there by Godfrey. Both sets of players looking towards the referee, saying it's our ball, but it has been given as a corner. And the last one we saw from Gundogan was easily cleared. It needs to be a better delivery this time.
Yeah, it certainly does. The quality of set pieces has been quite poor from Manchester City so far, but they do have quality in there. In fact, they're going to go short this time.
Yeah, short corner between Gundogan and Foden, and then Foden absolutely hoists that one over the penalty area. It actually curled out and then came back in, so it's, more of the same. Another very poor set piece.
Yeah, really poor delivery that from Phil Foden. I thought that the short corner was perhaps the right decision for City, given that some of the corners they've whipped straight into the box haven't been great. But yeah, they're struggling at the moment to really carve open this Everton defence and make Jordan Pickford do some work.
Absolutely, as Pickford really hasn't had too many saves to make, and even the crosses, as we mentioned, haven't even required his input, apart from a couple where he, I think on one occasion he looked a little bit off, but other than that, he's looked fairly confident with what he's had to do in this game. It's Luca Digne with the throw now going back towards Michael Keane, and then a long sweeping clearance there from Pickford over the head of Richarlison, and straight back into City possession. Richarlison with a bit of a look back towards his goalkeeper there, but it's one of those things where I would prefer, I think, Pickford to clear it long rather than playing out from the back where there's more chance you can lose it.
Yeah, I think something needs to change for Everton, although they are only 5 minutes away from the end of this first half, plus however much time is added on at the end. It might be closer to something like 8 or 9 minutes, but they've been resolute enough at the back. They are putting the bodies on the line. Whenever City do get into the box, there's a queue of Everton players willing to slide in and try and block any shots and challenges that come in from City players, but it's just that lack of quality on the front foot that's harming their chances at the moment.
At the moment it really is, and they're just not able to get any kind of attack going for the time being. Really just a few moments where they've spent any kind of time in possession inside the City harbour. Gundogan now goes square to Rodrigo. He finds Sterling down the right-hand side, under pressure there from Anthony Gordon. Sterling back towards John Stones, and once again Everton trying to condense their half of the field, making it difficult for City to get closer to their boxes with Bernardo Silva now. Walker square to Stones. Stones over towards Laporte on the left-hand side. He then finds João Cancelo. Cancelo taking on Iwobi, puts a cross in. It's a better cross this time from Cancelo, but it's Michael Keane with a vital header away for a corner. Yeah,
it's a really good cross, that from João Cancelo over on the far side, and then that's another facet of his game, the fact that he can go on the outside, he can use his left foot, and that just gives him that air of unpredictability, and City have won another corner.
Taken short between Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden. Now it's with Cole Palmer at the edge of the area. He goes square to João Cancelo. He then fires a ball into the box, but it's too close to Pickford. I think City are just overcomplicating their corner kicks a bit too much now. Yeah, perhaps so. They just need to try and get one really good delivery into the box, try and cause as many consternations as possible. Here come Everton now. Oh, they do. It's a ball played down the left-hand side to Iwobi, and he just hesitated at the edge of the area. It's a shame, really, because out of nowhere, it was suddenly a great counter for Everton. Just a quick 1-2 on the halfway line, and Iwobi had pretty much the whole half to work with there.
Yeah, and we've been critical of Fabian Delph so far, but that was a great through ball towards Alex Iwobi, and then he just got away from Walker. The first touch sold almost Walker a little bit of a dummy, but Walker is perhaps the best defender in the league at recovering one-on-one with those challenges, and he was able to put Iwobi under enough pressure.
Here come City, though Palmer running straight into Alan, and now a chance here for Everton to get forward. Alan being held onto there by Palmer. Referee playing the advantage, and it's going to help Everton here because the ball gets through to Iwobi down the right-hand side. His cross into Richarlison. It's Cancelo with the header away, and now City trying to get on the attack here with Bernardo Silva getting away from Fabian Delph. Leaves the ball now for Phil Foden. Foden inside now to Rodrigo. He's got a couple of options here. One of them was Sterling down the right, but he goes left towards Bernardo Silva. Silva then lifts the ball into the penalty area. It drops to Sterling, who can't quite get the strike away. And the ball is now cleared back towards the halfway line. Picked up now by João Cancelo. That's a great ball in there. What a fantastic strike from Sterling. And unless the flag goes up here, then City have taken the lead. 90 seconds before the end of the half with a fabulous goal.
Yeah, it's an absolutely brilliant cross and a brilliant finish from Raheem Sterling. There probably will be a VAR check because it looks as though it could have potentially been quite borderline, but it's a wonderful ball bent in with the outside of the right boot from João Cancelo. We'll just have another look at the replay now. Everton's resistance finally broken. You thought the chance had maybe gone when Sterling miscontrolled it inside the area, but he was just given so much space. for the first time in the game, really, they didn't close him down. It's not offside. It's a brilliantly timed run from Sterling and a fabulous finish to boot.
Every time we've seen an offside or an attempted offside from Everton, at least one of their defenders is not in line. The previous two occasions, it was Luca Digne. This time, it's Seamus Coleman. The captain is at least 2 yards behind the rest of his teammates, meaning that everybody in a City shirt is onside. But this outside of the boot pass from João Cancelo is, I don't know if there's such a thing as a pass of the month, but it could be the pass of the month, because that really was superb.
Yeah, it was. It's almost like watching Pete Kevin De Bruyne doing something like that. You wouldn't expect your fullback to be able to do that, but Cancelo, that's what confidence can do. He's a man very much in form. He'll feel as though he can do all of those things, and then Sterling breaking forward, timing the run to perfection, and it's a very good finish as well, because even though the cross is measured, it's very good, it still has to be a controlled finish. Sterling could easily have caught that on the volley and sent it a long way over, but the fact that he just caressed it into the back of the net, it's a great way to open the scoring.
It really is, and it gives City the lead just before we hit injury time. We're into injury time now. There are going to be 3 minutes of it, confirmed by Craig Paulson, our fourth official. It's a terrible time for Everton to concede, especially when you think that they didn't have too many moments of pressure in front of goal in that first half. But certainly, in terms of the possession, in terms of the intent from City, Everton can't really complain that City have scored, because they have been trying to get forward throughout the whole of the 45 minutes. Now with Aymeric Laporte bringing it forward for City, still inside his own half. He's got Townsend ahead of him. Just plays it square to João Cancelo. But I suppose from Everton's point of view, what do they do now at half-time to try and change this?
I don't know what the tactic would be going forward. It's very difficult against a side that are as formidable as Manchester City. It would be too negative, I think, to go for just damage limitation. They've got to try and do something to get back into the game, but they've got to do it in a kind of sensible and measured way to make sure the game's not too open.
Well, here comes City again, trying to double their lead before half-time. Foden's right-footed cross this time is just a bit overhit. No way anyone can get on the end of that inside the penalty area. It's out for a Everton goal kick. It's Sterling. He's had a busy half. He thought he'd won his side a penalty earlier in the half before VAR decided otherwise. But this is a great finish. Just hitting it on the bounce, redirecting that beautiful pass from João Cancelo right into the corner. Yeah, and it's a much-needed goal for Sterling as well, who, when Pep Guardiola perhaps has his first choice 11, Sterling's not in it because you've got Grealish, who they spent 100 million quid on. He's obviously going to be starting. And then on the right-hand side, they've got options such as Foden, Bernardo Silva, Gabriel Jesus, Riyad Mahrez. All of them can play on that side of the field. He started the game on the right. He looks as though he's going to finish the first half on the right as well. We've tended to see him more as a left winger coming inside on his right foot, but he might be trying to reinvent himself as Everton win a free kick on the edge of the City area. They do, and Andros Townsend furious with that. He wants a yellow card for Laporte as well, and I think Stuart Atwell is going to agree with this. It's going to be a free kick to Everton in a very good position here, just at the edge of the area, as Townsend was looking to get onto that for trusty left foot. Just clipped there by Laporte, and the referee is going to book him. Yeah, it's quite a poor challenge that from Aymeric Laporte. He just leaves his leg out, I think knowing that he's going to concede the foul. That's his fourth booking of the season, so one more, and then he's going to be picking up a one-match suspension. And this would be smash and grab if Everton can get a goal just before half-time. It's likely to be the last opportunity. It is. It's, as I say, but once the free kick is taken, we're actually going to be past the 3 minutes of injury time, so this really is the last opportunity. Townsend, we know, has got a bit of previous for scoring worldy goals at the Etihad. That's an amazing goal he scored for Palace a few seasons ago, and he is shaping to shoot here, Townsend, and it is a strike, but it's straight down the middle. Comfortable save there from Edison. Just thinking whether or not he could have perhaps looked across that one. Yeah, perhaps so. Maybe it's just a little bit greedy from his point of view, but that's the first bit of work Edison's had to do. First bit of work Edison's had to do, and that's the end of the half. Manchester City leading after that strike from Raheem Sterling towards the end of the first half, and myself and Dan will be back in 15 minutes.